Hey cousins, welcome back to another tutorial. Some of you were asking about this cute cardigan that I posted on Instagram, so here's the video for that. Okay, so in the video with the pink sweater, I did use a fluffy yarn for that, which was a medium weight 5, but for this tutorial, I am going to be using a medium weight 4. So I got this yarn from Walmart, and I am using 2.5 skeins for this. So I did end up buying 4 just to be on the safe side because I didn't know how much I was going to need, but I only ended up using 2 and barely half of the third one. And because I'm using a medium weight 4, I am using my size 5mm hook. But if you are going to be using a bulky size 5 yarn, I would use a 6mm hook. So I'm going to have all the measurements listed down in the description box. So depending on what size you're making, just refer to that so you know how to move forward with this tutorial. So the first measurement that you're going to need is going to be from your neck down to the waist where you want your cardigan to stop. So once you have that measurement, you are going to go ahead and start by chaining up as many chains as it takes to reach that measurement. So for me, I am making a size small and my measurement is 17 inches. So I am starting out with a chain of 55. Now, if you're using bulky yarn, this could be a different number for you. So just go based off that measurement and chain as much as you need to reach that measurement. Alright, so once you have your desired amount of chains, so I completed my 55 chains and that reaches up to the 17 inches that I was going for the length of my cardigan. So however many chains that you did in the initial chain, you are going to double that because for this project, we are going to be working on the front panel and the back panel at the same time. So because I chained up 55, I'm going to go ahead and chain up another 55 to give me a total of 110 because that will be the front and back panel. Okay, so here I've completed my 110 chains, and I know some crocheters don't like working in chains, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Long chains aren't that intimidating, they're actually really easy to work through, so just make your way down your chain, okay? It's fine. So for this project, I am going to be working with double crochets. So once you have your desired amount of chains, you're going to chain an additional 2, and then in that third chain from your hook, you're going to insert your first double crochet. And after you inserted your first double crochet, you are going to insert 1 double crochet in each chain all the way down until you reach the end. So just go ahead and insert 1 double crochet in each stitch. So I have made it to the end of my chain. I've completed inserting 1 double crochet in each chain, and this is what it looks like so far. I really enjoy working with the double crochet stitch, but I will say if you are using a bulky yarn, I would suggest using a half double crochet and not a double crochet stitch. So once you have all your stitches, you're going to chain up 2, and then you're going to turn your work, and we're going to be working back down the row. So once you have your chain 2 on that hook, it is going to count as your first double crochet because it's connected to that first stitch right here, as you see. So you can count 1, 2, 3. So in that 4th chain or the second double crochet, that's where you're going to start. So we are going to be working in the back loop for this project. So you are going to yarn over and insert your hook into the back loop of that stitch and insert your 1 double crochet. So again, that first chain 2 was connected to that first stitch, so it counts as your first double crochet. So we started working in the second. So from here, we're just going to insert 1 double crochet all the way down the row. Remember to work in the back loop only. So here I am coming up on the end of the row, and I know I mentioned that we are going to be working in the back loop only. So I know it can be a little tricky to see, and you can sometimes miss a stitch and you don't know if it's a stitch or not. So I find that it's easier to locate it if you kind of turn your work forward, like towards you, so you can work from the top of your work, so you can make sure that you're going into every stitch. So to start the next round, you're going to chain up 2. We're always going to chain up 2. And remember that chain 2 is connected to your first double crochet, so it counts as your first double crochet. So in the 4th chain from your hook, that is where you're going to insert your first double crochet. So you're going to go ahead and insert, and remember we're working in the back loop only. So you're going to insert your double crochet and you're going to complete that, all the way down the row, repeating that back and forth. And the next measurement that you need is going to be the width of your front panel. So for me, for my size, I am going to need a total of 8 inches, anywhere from between 7 to 8 inches. So you're going to complete rows until you reach that measurement. And how to get that measurement is you're going to, whatever your shoulder to shoulder measurement is, you're going to divide that in half, and whatever that number is the width of your panel. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this going back and forth with my double crochets, and I'm going to do this for as many rows as it takes for me to reach that 7-inch measurement, okay? So I have completed all my rows, and I did a total of 10 rows of double crochets, and that gave me the measurement of the 7 inches that I was going for. So like I said, depending on the measurement that you are going for, you're just going to do as many rows as you need to reach that number. So to get started on this next part, we are going to chain up 2, and then we're going to flip our work. And then from here, we are going to only work on the back panel. So we're only going to put a double crochet up until that halfway point. So remember in the beginning, I chained 55 to start. So I'm going to insert 1 double crochet in 55 double crochet stitches. So whatever that number was for you, just go ahead and insert a double crochet up until you reach that number. And I don't want this video to be super long, so if I'm going too fast for you, feel free to just pause the video up until you catch up. But yeah, I'm just going to keep going. And I do apologize for the jump with this next clip. For whatever reason, the clip in between just wouldn't download for me, so I couldn't insert it. But yeah, just go ahead and complete that until you reach that number, and I'll let you know what to do next. Okay, so this is the jump that I was talking about. So what I did was we were working on the neckline, just giving it a little bit of space. So what I did was I worked 5 rows, and that gave me a measurement of about 3 inches, because that was the space that I wanted to go in between the 2 panels. And as I mentioned, this is only on the back panel, so it just gives that space so that your 2 front panels aren't too close together. So it just gives you that wiggle room and space. So what you're going to be doing is repeating that row of 55 or whatever your number was of double crochets back and forth until you reach a total amount of rows that gives you a measurement anywhere from 3 inches to 4 inches. And I'm going to insert a diagram here just so you can see how we're working these panels. But from here, remember, we only did up until 55 or whatever your number was. So we need to chain additional chains to reach that number that we had in the beginning. So remember, we doubled it. So I had 110 chains in the beginning. So I'm going to chain up another 55 to give me 110, because we just need to mirror the other side, because now we're working on the left or right side of your cardigan. So just go ahead and continue chaining until you have that exact number of chains that you had from the foundation in the beginning. Alright, so once you have all your chains, remember we're going to chain an additional 2 because we are going to be working with double crochets. So just go ahead and chain up 1 and 2. And then in that 3rd chain from your hook, that is where you're going to insert your hook and place your first double crochet. And after you've completed your first double crochet, it's pretty simple. You're just going to go down the chain, inserting 1 double crochet in each chain stitch. Alright, so once you've gone down the chain, you are going to just continue on with your double crochet stitches. So at this point right here, remember we're working in the back loop only of our stitches, so you're just going to continue down, inserting 1 double crochet in the back loop only until you reach the end of the row. And as you get closer to the end of the row, just know that you're just going to chain up 2 and then flip your work and then complete your rows, the same amount of rows that you did in the beginning. So in the beginning, I completed a total of 10 rows. So for this part, I'm just going to keep going until I have a total of 10 rows. Alright, so at this point I have completed all my rows. So I have my 10 rows from the beginning, then I have my 5 rows in the middle for the neckline, and then I have another 10 rows for the other panel. So this is what your work should be looking like. Remember I said we're working on the front panel and the back panel at the same time. So once you have that completed, it's now time to work on the sleeves. So I already have one sleeve completed already, and this is how the sleeve is going to work. So for the wrist cuff, I did use single crochets in the beginning, and then I just completed the rest of the row with double crochets. So what you're going to do is you're going to do as many rows as you need to give you the width that will go around your arm. So to start your sleeve, you are going to need that measurement from your armpit down to where you want the sleeve to stop. So for me, that is going to be a total of 17 inches. So that was actually the same measurement that I had from my neck to the waist. So I'm going to do the same amount of chains that I did for that panel. So I chained 55 in the beginning. So I know that that 55 is going to give me that measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 55 chains. So once you've completed your chains, remember that you're going to be working with 2 different stitches in the same row. So you're going to start by doing your wrist cuff. So because I'm using single crochets, I am going to chain an additional 1. And then in that second chain from the hook, I'm going to insert my first single crochet. From here, I'm going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch, and I'm going to do that until I reach 8. So that will be our first one. So I'm going to continue on in the next 7 chain stitches. Alright, so once you've completed your single crochets, and this part, it doesn't have to be 8 stitches, it's just as long as you want your wrist cuff to be. So I felt like 8 stitches was a good length for me, but you can go longer if you want it to be like a longer wrist cuff, or you can do less. Or honestly, you don't even have to do a wrist cuff, you can just use double crochets. So after my 8 single crochets, I'm going to go right into using my double crochet stitches for the rest of the chain. So I'm going to go down the row, inserting 1 double crochet in each chain stitch until I reach the end. Alright, so at the end of the row, I've inserted my last double crochet. And then from here, we are going to work back down the row. So I have my 8 single crochets in the beginning, and then the remainder of the row is all double crochets. So from here, I'm going to chain up 2. And then I'm going to turn my work. And remember that chain 2 does count as your first double crochet. So in the 4th stitch from your hook, you're going to insert that first double crochet. So in the back loop only, insert 1 double crochet. And then I'm just going to repeat inserting 1 double crochet down the row until I reach that point where I switched from single crochets to double crochets. So you're going to put a double crochet all the way until you reach that first single crochet. Alright, so I've completed my double crochets, and now I'm at the point where I switch from double crochet back to single crochets. So with the single crochets, you're just going to go, we're going to be working in the back loop only as well. So you're just going to go in that back loop with your single crochet. And then you're going to repeat that until the end of the row. So you're going to be inserting 8 single crochets in the back loop only. And then from here, because we are ending with a single crochet and then we're going to be starting with single crochet, you're going to chain up one. So once you have your chain up one, you are going to turn your work, and in that second chain from your hook, you are going to insert your first single crochet into the back loop only. And then you're going to continue on with your single crochets until you have a total of 8. And then from there, you're going to switch to your double crochet and continue down the row with your double crochets. So you are going to repeat this row back and forth until you have a width that will fit around your arm. So I measured it out with my first sleeve and I did a total of 20 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and complete my 20 rows because that is the width of the sleeve that is good for me. Alright, so once you have both sleeves completed, it's now time to connect your sleeve to your cardigan. So this is where your work should be looking like once it's open. So you see you have your 2 long panels and then that middle neckline. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your sleeve and then you're going to count up your rows until you reach the halfway point. So like I said, I did 20 rows, so I counted up until row 10. And then from row 10, I attached it to, I just kind of measured it to where the neckline was starting, if you can see. So I just kind of lined it up from here, this point, and then I went across, and then right here is where it meets. So that's where I attached. I use a stitch marker just to kind of hold it in place, but that's what you're going for. You just want it to line up halfway through your sleeve with the neckline. And then once you have it all lined up, you are going to go down the side with a single crochet, a slip stitch, or you can use a darning needle and sew it. But I'm going to just be using single crochets. So you kind of want to fold it like this just so that everything is lined up. And then, like I said, you're going to be working down, sewing the two sides together. So I'm going to be working with single crochet. Now you don't have to do single crochet. That's just what I found works better for me. The only thing that I didn't like was because this was an ombre yarn, sometimes it is a little bit noticeable once you turn everything right side out. You can kind of see that the yarn is showing through, but it doesn't really matter if you're using like a solid color. The whole cardigan is one color, it won't really matter. But because this one is an ombre yarn, it is a little funny. But anyways, I am just working single crochets all the way down the row. I don't have a particular stitch that I'm putting the single crochets in. I'm just finding like any space, just going through, making sure everything is connected on both sides. So just go ahead down, inserting your single crochets, your slip stitches, your sewing, whatever method that you're using. Just go down the row, and then once you reach the end, you're going to cut and fasten off, and then you're going to do the same thing for the second sleeve on the opposite side of your cardigan. So I am at the end of my sleeve, and in that last stitch I am going to close off with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain up one and then cut and fasten off my yarn, and then I'm going to move on to the second sleeve on the other side and repeat the same thing, inserting single crochets all the way across. Alright, so this is the last piece of putting your cardigan together. Once you have that sleeve connected, you can see here, and then you're going to fold your cardigan down with the right sides facing each other, so the wrong side should be facing you. So once you fold it down like this, and line everything up, what you're going to do is you're going to go around with single crochets. You are going to start at the wrist right here. You're going to start from this point and you're going to go all the way down, and then you're going to go down the side of the cardigan as well. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So like I said, you're going to start from the wrist part and go across and then go down. doing single crochet, slip stitch, sewing, whatever you're using. So just go ahead and do that and make sure to repeat that on the other side. And once you repeat that, you'll be done with your cardigan. You'll just turn it right side out and everything should be all neat and complete. And then from there you can weave in any loose ends that you have and your cardigan is finished. So off camera, once I finish up this side, I am going to go ahead and do the other side, and I don't have any footage of that, but this is the end of the tutorial. Like I said, once you completed single crocheting the sides together, your crochet cardigan is now complete. I really hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and this was actually one of the suggestions. I did a poll on Instagram where I asked for like, what do you want to see in tutorials, and somebody mentioned a cute cardigan. So I hope this cardigan was cute enough for you, and I really hope to see you guys in my next video, and thank you guys so much for watching.